One thing that really stands out in and I'll never forget, is going in to do the Shine On sessions. When that's so clear in my mind, because I think, Roger was in the studio already, and I walked in, I think we were listening through to it. We were actually listening to that track, Shine On, I think. And Roger was in there first, and I came in, and I don't think Dave or Nick had arrived. Anyway, we went in the studio, and I saw this guy sitting at the back of the studio. He's only as far away as you are from me. Well, I didn't recognise him. So I sit down next to Roger, and we start doing whatever we're doing. I said, "Who's that guy behind you? Friend of yours?" And Roger said, "You don't know who he is?" And I said, "No." And it took me ages. And then Roger said, "That's Syd." And I just cracked up. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Because by that time, he'd shaven all his hair off. He was about probably 17, 18 stone. I mean, his eyebrows, everything. And he was jumping up and down, brushing his teeth. I mean, it was awful. And Roger was in tears. I think we were both in tears. I mean, it was very shocking and very strange that he came when we were doing that session. 7 years of no contact, and then to walk in while we're actually doing that particular track. I don't know, coincidence, karma, fate, who knows, but it was very, very, very powerful. And of course he stood up and said, "When shall I put the guitar on?" So that was pretty hard for all of us to take, I think. And then he went out of our lives again. And we tried to have conversation with him, but it was very hard. Very, very hard.
God.
Yeah.
That must have been.
It was, it was awful. I mean, that was the physical change was what shook me. I think because he was on lots of drugs and cortisone or something. That
yeah, I'm sure the drugs made it.
And I think that's what had done it.
Yeah. But the fact that you're making this record that's, I don't know whether you would consider it all about Syd, but it certainly had a lot of Syd references.
Oh, the actual, there is. I mean, it's Roger because he wrote the lyric, but obviously "Shine On You Crazy Diamond." It is about Syd, and even some of the stuff on the wall, in a sense, is about Syd. And "Wish You Were Here." I mean, yes. I mean, it wasn't as such an album dedicated to Syd Barrett because it would have said it, but it certainly was. It was a big it influenced, Syd's condition obviously influenced, or what Roger wanted to write about, try and express it, obviously, lyrically. And I think it's our best album, personally. I love it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you, actually.
Yeah.
Why do you love it?
I love it lyrically, but I also love it just musically. And I love the flow of it, and I just think, I will listen to that album for pleasure. There's not many of the Floyd albums I can. But that one, I don't know, it's the way it all builds up, that main track. From the wine glasses to the saxophone to then the quiet bit, the little bit of guitar and all that, and then into this really interesting sequence of chords for the song. And I just think it's a great piece.
We had Dave picked up his guitar during the interview and started musing about how he'd got the sound and started to play that opening section.
Oh, really?
Which was very nice, yeah. So,
right.
I mean, it's such a great, the emotion coming in with the music before the words.
Yes.
Quite a long.
It is, yeah. Right.
And pretty unusual for even at that time,
Yeah, there are two moments. It's quite interesting that there's two things in terms of what has developed from a very simple thing. One was Dave's guitar, da, 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 da. And the other one actually was the very simple ping on the piano note, which developed into echoes, which, though I think lyrically for me is a little bit not so great, I still love that piece as well. I think it's a great example of Floyd echoes as well. Both of those came from very simple ideas, quite interesting. And that was in the days when the band were working well together.
Actually, it's interesting you say that, because Roger referred to it as "Wish You Were Here" as he said something like it was as much about a sense of bereavement for Syd, but also he was starting to realise that the band wasn't going to stay together.
It was, yeah, I mean, in a sense that's true, because, it's this thing of not being there. And it was the last, I think it was the last album where we worked well together. And actually, interesting, you're saying Roger, I know that when we started off, there was a kind of, we weren't putting our heart into it. Maybe because of the success of Dark Side, I think Nick found it quite hard actually to get back into playing strict tempos or whatever. And Roger certainly said, "Look, we've got to stop and start again." And the disagreements did start at that point in the band. Yeah, definitely. But I still think it's our best record.
And I guess part of that it has to be because there's a lot of, it's sort of driven by this sort of feeling, emotion in it, which is all about Syd.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Yes, I mean it was. And I just say, I think lyrically it was very true what you said. And also I just think musically, for some reason, the chord sequence that I wrote with Dave or whatever, it really gelled. It was something quite interesting. We were working together. And I've always believed that's the best Floyd music has come from that, actually. It's when it's a combination of Dave and me and Roger, let's say the three of us writing together. Obviously there's individual songs which I didn't write or Dave didn't write, but basically just being in the studio playing together. And Roger saying, "Okay, that's great, it's a chord sequence. Okay, I'm going to try and write some words to that and go to another, and come back." And that was a good time.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get that going again.
I sort of knew that really we were over as far as the Band of Brothers notion of a pop group was concerned. We just weren't anymore, and we were never going to be that again. And so I was mourning that loss as well as the loss of Syd as a friend and as a colleague.
When I did that little da-dee-da-dang thing in a rehearsal room somewhere, it slipped out somewhere, Roger was very taken with that very quickly as a sort of emotional little cry, and that it all started coming together from that little thing, I believe. But